All right, so the recording has started. It's about 9:58 a.m. and we'll just roll with it now. Good morning, everybody. My name is Reggie Beloved. I am joined today by Mr. Ahban of ISUPK Canada and Mr. Yatazar Ban Lawya.
Ban Lawya.
Lawya, okay. So right now we're doing kind of like a test run. I'm using StreamYard for really the first time while I'm doing like these kinds of interviews. And these gentlemen have been kind enough to join me. Today is Thursday, January 9th, 2020, just for context. So what we're doing is a recording, and then it's going to be shared, and you're probably going to see this on the ISUPK Canada YouTube page, probably the Haitian Free Thinkers page, and other places where we feel that it's best suited. So I want to give you a little context of how we even got here. So for me, I think all three of us are part of this Facebook group called Haitians on Facebook.
Yeah.
And one of the members of Haitian Free Thinkers was actually commenting on a post by Ahban, and that's Ahban in the middle. And I think Ahban was saying something about Moses being Haitian and some other historical figures being Haitian. So then what happened was, after I saw the post, I made some comments, and I'll be honest with everybody, it was a little bit cheeky, a little bit sarcastic in nature. But I kind of caught myself, and I said to myself, let me reach out to this gentleman and find out a little bit more about ISUPK. Even though I have a little bit of experience, if you will, talking to Hebrew Israelites, I don't have a lot of experience dealing with ISUPK. So I got in touch with Ahban. He was kind enough to respond to me, and basically we set up what we came to be, that you're watching now. And Yatazar is a gentleman who Ahban works with, who happens to be Haitian like myself, and that's how we're all doing this together. But that's a little bit of how this came together. I'd like to have the gentleman introduce themselves, so we'll start with Ahban.
Okay. All right, what's going on? Shalom. All right. All priest and officer of 1000 Ahban, representing the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. We're started out of 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York. We're under the leadership and authority of Commanding General Yahana. All right, we are the home of the truth. Since 1969, we've been teaching the truth that all Blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians are the Israelites. We're not affiliated with any group, any Hebrew Israelite group, Boy Scout Club, Christian organization, no one. We're not affiliated. We stand alone. I represent, I'm the school leader of ISUPK in Canada, Brazil, as well as Alaska. That's my introduction.
Okay, well, what about you, Mr. Yatazar?
Shalom, Yahba, which means in the name of Christ, the Lord bless you. I am officer of 500 Yatazar Ban Lawya. Ban Lawya, which means son of Levi, which for us Haitians will means son of Haitians, if we would give the people some context, because the Haitians are the descendant of the tribe of Levi in the Bible. I am the priest that is over Haiti. Like Officer Ahban here is over Canada, and I am over Haiti. Like the officer said, we teach our people, so-called Black, Hispanics, and Native Indians, the truth according to the Bible. Not the way the Christian pastors teach the Bible, because we're not affiliated. My brother said we're not affiliated with any Christian organization or any other organization that may have the appearance of Hebrew Israelites. And that is my introduction.
Okay, thank you very much. So for further admin notes, when we were setting up this interview, we decided on breaking it down this way. We're going to talk about ourselves, how we became, I would say, activists. I would consider myself an activist. I don't know if that describes you correctly. So I want to talk about more about us, who we are, so that hopefully we have some more follow-up shows where we talk about, more of the material that makes ISUPK ISUPK. So today we're just going to be more about ourselves, how we became who we are. So I'll start with Ahban. So how did you find out about ISUPK? What were you into before, etc.?
So I had known that I was an Israelite for several years. Family member told me, my mother to be specific. She had been combing the internet and she found a video about essentially the Israelites. And long story short, through my father's lineage, I am in fact an Israelite, specifically from the tribe of Judah. My forefathers go back to slaves in the American South, based on the history, archaeology, as well as the prophecy that would mean that I'm from the tribe of Judah. All right, what the world calls a Jew. All right. I've been listening to many different groups, every alphabet group, every group under the sun that held the Bible and claimed to be teaching the truth, etc. And then I saw a class taught by 12 Shield General Mahaiman. Mahaiman, as I just stated, was a general in the school. He teaches a scripture breakdown class, and I believe he was bringing out a topic about Black history. Specifically, he was reading documents of W.E.B. Du Bois, and I had never, ever in my life seen someone go into the history as deeply as he did, as knowledgeably as he did, and pair it with the Bible. It was something that I had never seen before, and like the scriptures say, it's something that I was called to, and I answered the call. Just like many Trump supporters today are signing up to join the fight against Iran because Iran attacked them, I look for my life, from the lives of my brothers in the ghetto, in the barrios, in the favelas, in the reservations, and I see that they are being attacked by another country. I look in the history of Haiti, and I see that Haitians have been attacked by another country. And this is no different than any U.S. service member, anyone in the armed forces or the fighting forces of the United States, hearing the call, seeing that their nation is being attacked, and stepping up to defend their nation. I'm in this position, we are in this position to defend our people, all of our people, so-called Blacks, Hispanics, Native American Indians. We were called to this because, just like America, we are under attack. The Haitians are under absolute attack. You can go and check the poverty in Haiti. Haiti is one of the poorest countries in the Western Hemisphere. All right, many places where we live are extremely poor, impoverished, etc. So it's no secret we're under attack. All right, it's like U.S. service members answered the call. We answered the call. We defend our people. The only difference is we don't pick up guns and go attack people. We don't wage war, etc. So this is a calling that I had answered to answer your question.
Okay. Just for context, today, like I said, is January 9th, 2020. When about? Can you give me a timeline of when these things were happening?
Right. So when I first heard that I was an Israelite, heard about the Hebrew Israelites, etc. This would be about 2014, 2015. I started my 90 days in the trooper program of the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, May of 2016. All right.
Okay, so before then, you consider yourself what? Before 2014?
That's a good question. So before 2016, I was like any Haitian, any so-called Negro. I believed in what the Christian church taught. I believe the precepts, the precedents, and the teachings of the Christian church. And I lived my life like a normal person would live their life, normal Black, Hispanic, and Native American Indian, doing whatever I wanted to do, doing what felt good to me, and believing what suited my desires rather than what suited, the Most High.
Okay, and in 2016, about how old were you, if I may ask?
19, about 19 years old, going on 20.
Okay, excellent. So what about you, Yatazar?
All right. For myself, as you know, I was born and raised in Port-au-Prince, Haiti, and I grew up a Christian, like most Black, Hispanics, and Native Indians. I grew up Christian. My grandmother was Protestant, but my father and my aunt, they were Catholic. So, like most Haitians, I went to church every Sunday. Grandma didn't play that. She sent me this, you had to go to church. Every Sunday I went to church, and I had some type of Christian belief, so to speak. And that's how I was brought up. Around the time when I was 14, I started to look into Jehovah Witness because it was too much idolatry in the Christian church for me. And then they all were white. And I had a problem with that at an early age. I had a problem with white Jesus at an early age. So I started around the age of 14, I started to look into the Jehovah Witness. But I was born in there. And in Haiti, there's a small population of Rastafarian. So I was around them for a little while. So I went in Haiti, I went to you could say to different school of thought, so to speak, as far as religion goes. And I moved over here in the United States I was 17 when I moved to the United States. And when I got introduced to the ISUPK, it was around 2000 and I would say December of 2003. There was a lecture done by my camp leader, which is Captain Tazarya, who is the camp leader for ISUPK New York, and he did a a debate with a medic cat. And when I saw that debate, I was amazed at the way that ISUPK taught the Bible, because I've never heard those teaching before. I've knew that Jesus Christ was black. You know, this is things that I knew because I was around, you know, certain Rastafarian, and they have a sense of knowledge, so to speak. And I've noticed things, but when it came to the ISUPK, when they breaking down the Bible, there's not questions that people ask that they did not get their answers. So I started studying them, and I find out about these other Hebrew Israelites group, and I was really attracted with, you know, the ISUPK because of the masculinity, because of the warrior spirit, which I can relate to, being that, you know, I'm a Haitian, so-called Haitian, and you know our history and how fight colonial powers to get our freedom. And that really attracted me with the ISUPK. And I studied them for years because I studied the other Hebrew Israelites, and I realized that the ISUPK was the truth because that's where it started in the first place anyways. So I didn't jump in the ISUPK right away. I went to their cookout. You know, I brought my children with me. I went to their Passover, and I noticed one thing that I'd never seen anywhere before, and which is the brotherhood. The brotherhood, and all of the brothers were in, like we say, one mind, one spirit. All the brothers spoke one way, and there was no division among the brothers. And that's what, you know, draw me in, because I've been, you know, I've studied many religious beliefs, so to speak. You know, I was into astrology, I studied the Moors, into Kabbalah. I even studied voodoo for a minute, because as you know, in Haiti, we are taught that voodoo is the reason that we got our independence from France. We thought that is because of the Wakaima ceremony, you know, that Bookman did. That's the reason why we got our independence. But when I started watching the ISUPK, I realized that voodoo has nothing to do with our culture. I realized a lot of things that I was miseducated about from the time I was in Haiti all the way to the time that I came here in America. And these brothers, they edified me to a point where I had to empty out all the vain philosophies that I had in my mind. And when I did that, I was able to do my 90 days. Like Officer Ahban said, he did his 90 days. I did my 90 days, and then I became a new man. You know, I was given this name that I have now, which is Yatazar Ban Lawya. And ever since, I'm not looking back. And this fight that is raging on our people, and I heard the call, and like Officer Ahban said, we are out here to wake up our people to fight against these powers that are out there to destroy us. And the only difference, we're not using guns to do it. We're using the wisdom that was left by our forefathers under Commanding General Yohana to do it.
Okay, fantastic. Since this is going to be a recording that's going to be shared in the various spaces that we all use, I'm going to give you a little bit of my backgrounds just so that we're all on the same page. So I was born in Haiti, Port-au-Prince too, back in '79. I came to the United States when I was 9. So basically grew up in Miami area. I'm an atheist now, but I wasn't always. I grew up, I guess you can say, Christian But really, to be more specific, just you were saying about your family, my uncle and most of my family were Catholics. When I came to the United States, my mother started to go into what I now know is a Protestant church, to be more specific, Baptist. Right before high school, right around high school, I gave my life to Jesus because this pastor basically pressured me. And but it was the first time that I, on my own free will, said the Lord's Prayer, is what they call it, without having my mother make me do it. So I did that. So I was a Christian, at least, that's what I thought at the time. So I joined the military shortly after high school so that I can pay for school. 9/11 happened. I find myself deployed in Iraq in 2003, spent about 14 months total out there. It was then that I started reading the Bible because I really thought that I was going to die. I really wanted to find out what was going to happen afterwards. So I started from Genesis. I stopped in Isaiah, had a bunch of questions. I learned a whole bunch that wasn't really taught in church. I came back home. I asked to speak to my pastor. I discovered that he didn't know as much as I thought he could have, should have known, but I continued my research, spoken to a lot of people, read a lot of books. But in 2009, I met up with some atheists, but I had been learning or reading stuff that's from the secular perspective. You can say atheist stuff. And anyway, so I became an atheist in August of 2009. Around 2005, a friend of mine showed me a pamphlet from some Hebrew Israelites that were doing their thing down in Miami. And that was probably the first time I heard of the group. There was a young woman that I knew. She eventually married a Hebrew Israelite. I went to one of their meetings in West Palm Beach. I've been to a couple of meetings. So that was my first introduction to the Hebrew Israelites. I'm more familiar with the IUIC, Israelite United in Christ, but there's different groups out there. What interests me in particular with you guys is that, like I said, it's the first time I'm speaking directly with ISUPK members. So that's what makes it different for me. So that's just a little bit about myself. And like I said, now, I started Haitian FREE Thinkers, which is the group that I'm part of in January 2012, about 2 years after the earthquake. I started it because I didn't know too many other Haitians who were secular people or atheists like myself, and also to kind of combat ignorance, since Pat Robertson made the comment about Haitians making a deal with the devil. I thought it was stupid, ignorant, and upsetting, but I didn't know how many Haitians people actually knew what caused earthquakes. Luckily for me, I took a class in geology, and I know that it wasn't a deal with the devil that made the earthquake happen. And so I just wanted to make videos and kind of share what I know with the people. I want to do more interactions with other people that are believers, so that we can have a space, especially in Creole, so people can have different ideas. I really want to make it non-confrontational. I don't want to make it like, I don't want to say combative and negative in nature, so that people can be themselves without any fear of gotcha or like anything like that. I think there's a time and place for that. And today is not it. Like I said, we just want to talk about ourselves, answer any questions that we may have about each other. But you talked about certain things that I'm not too familiar with. So this is the part where I'm going to ask some questions. Okay. Officer of 1,000, something of 500. Can you tell me more about what that means?
Yeah, all throughout, early on in Deuteronomy, early on in the Bible, there's a man named Moses, all right? And Moses' task was to get the Israelites to be used by God, or by the Most High, the Lord, to get the Israelites out of slavery. We walked into Israelites with 8 people, 70 souls. 70 souls walked into Egypt and walked out with an army. Hundreds upon hundreds of thousands of Israelites came out of Egypt. So one man handling all those people was a lot. So Moses went to the Lord and asked, this is too much for me to bear. So the Lord gave him authority to split up the responsibility. So he split it up amongst captains, amongst officers. You can check that out early on in the book of Deuteronomy. And so we carry on that practice, which is a militant practice. Again, much like the United States military, everyone doesn't have the same rank. You have majors, you have admirals, you have generals, etc. You have that so that you can have order. All right, everything is to be done decently and in order. And so we're no different. Right? The Lord is a man of war. The Lord is not in the Christian church. And so any warrior has rank. United States Army, any army, a company. You work for a company, there's rank in the company. There's the janitor, there's the intern, and then there's the CEO. And so we're no different. Any organization, for it to run well, like a well-oiled machine, it has to have structure. And so we have troopers, officers, captains, and then generals in the school, just like in any military, to have structure. All right. Go ahead.
If I may, I'm going to read this precept, which is in Deuteronomy 1:15, which confirm what my other one just said. So I took the chief of your tribes, wise men, and known, and made them heads over you, captains over thousands, and captains over hundreds, and captains over 50s, and captains over 10s, and officers among your tribes. That's Deuteronomy 1:15. And like my other one just said, our leader, which is Commanding General Yohana, him being a wise man and following what the Bible says, this is what he established in the ISUPK. And this is what we, as followers of Commanding General Yohana, we do everything that's in the Bible. We do not do nothing that is outside of the Bible, like my other one just said. Okay.
So you're an officer of 1,000, you said, Ahban?
That's correct.
So where, like, it seems like there's 4 levels of rank.
Yeah.
Can you, am I getting it correct? Trooper being the first?
Yeah.
And then what's next?
Okay, so you start out as a trooper, and then you become an officer through a series of tests. If you pass those tests, you become an officer. And then from an officer, you rise up from an officer 50, 500, 1,000, on to 5,000, then on to captains. And then from captain is the rank of a general, all right, which is the highest rank you can attain in the ISUPK.
So if a person is a officer of 1,000, is that lower or higher than an officer of 50?
That would be higher in rank than an officer of 50.
So the bigger the number, the higher the rank.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. All right. Let me see what else did you so ISUPK itself, I remember I spoke to you on the phone. You made a soda analogy. You remember that soda analogy?
No, I don't recall off the top of my head. Go ahead.
You mentioned that, like, why drink Dr. Pepper when the original is Coke or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
But
yeah.
Setting that aside, we know there's different Hebrew Israelite organizations.
Of course.
Did you get a chance to check out the others, and like, how did you settle with ISUPK? And can you give us a little bit of a background on the history of ISUPK, whichever one of you?
Okay, so first, in my experience, yes, as I said, I watched every group under the sun. Everyone claimed to be Israelites, the Israelites in their name. All right, and like I said, when I had done the research and researched the members of their group, their organization, and what they stood for, something that they had in them was not in the Bible. Something was wrong. All right, and I had known that from watching them, and known that from hearing what they have to say and what they have to teach. What I had seen in the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge is strict adherence to the code and conduct of the Bible and to the original practices of the original school, the ISUPK. Now I'm going to segue into the history for you. The Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, the ISUPK, is the original Hebrew Israelite group. What do I mean by that? There were Hebrew Israelites that predate the ISUPK. You had Matthews, you had the Commandment Keepers, you had Cogsok, is there in the South, which is the semi-Hebrew semi-Israelites or quasi-Israelites. But you had groups that came out of the South after slavery that knew they were Israelites. All right. Nat Turner's rebellion was based on the Bible. Okay, so you had people that knew that the American South, the places where we were enslaved, whether it be Haiti, whether it be the Caribbean islands, the American South, the reservations for the so-called Native Indians, that was modern day Egypt. That was modern day slavery. And if we're the people that were enslaved in this place, which is very similar to Egypt, then put two and two together, we must be the Israelites. So those people migrated north during something you know of as the Great Migration. All right. Black people moved from the south up north. One of the cities that they moved to was New York City. And so they brought this belief with them, Hebrew Israelite belief with them. You had groups like the Commandment Keepers out in New York City. I believe they're in Chicago as well. And other Israelite groups that were practicing the same way that the European Jews were practicing, or the Caucasian Jews were practicing, okay, which again is not in the Bible. You had a man named Abba Bivens. Abba Bivens broke off from them and began to look at the Bible without the veil of European Judaism or fake or Judaism. All right. He began to look at the Bible without the veil of religion. And he began to see in the book of Nehemiah how they stood on a pulpit of wood. He read the scripture where Christ said, go to the highways and byways, not sit in the church, not sit in the synagogue, but go out into the highways and byways on the streets and teach. So there was no Hebrew Israelite group or Israelite group that was going out in the streets, going out to what we call camp, where we go and read the Bible out in the streets. I'm sure you've seen those videos, Reggie, where we're out in the streets teaching. The ISUPK were the original. They started that. Okay. And so come to pass over a little bit of time, men began to be hungry for power. They began to look at the Bible, just like Christians do, look at the Bible to satisfy their own lusts. Okay. They were not allowed to be in here and continue to do things that were in error or in sin according to the Bible. And so they had left. They had left and they had started their own Hebrew Israelite groups. Every group that you see that you've interacted with, the IUIC is a prime example of men that left the truth, believing in a lie, and now they're totally off according to the Bible, to the scriptures. Okay, many of the things that they teach are not in accordance with the Bible. Many things that other Hebrew Israelite groups teach that are not in accordance with the Bible. That's a bit of the history of the ISUPK. Just to summarize it for time's sake, we were the original, and I stuck with it. Like I made the soda analogy, I stuck with it because, you know, we're the original. Okay, and so we held on to the traditions and the customs that were passed down to us since our inception, and that's the summary of the history and why I chose this group.
Okay, so the time is now 10:26. I want to be respectful of your time. We want to keep it under an hour, but we can go over because I'm really enjoying this. That's so Yatazar, you know, we both are Haitian. We both know about the Boakaima. Let's say nobody's ever heard about Boakaima. Give us a little bit of a history lesson and your perspective on for you, like how it ties into Hebrew Israelite from your perspective, because I've heard some different perspectives on it. Let's put it that way. So tell us about Boakaima and that situation.
Okay, as far as Boakaima goes, there's no association with Boakaima and Hebrew Israelite.
Okay, no association.
No association whatsoever. I'm not sure where you got this from, but no association at all with the Boakaima and Israelite. In fact, I have the book. I'm getting a feedback.
I hear the feedback, but you're pretty much fine. Just
okay. All right. I have the book here. The first man who wrote about Boakaima. This is the book here, if you could see. All right. So that everyone see that. And the title.
I was going to say, I see it, but here's what I'm going to do. After we wrap this up, whenever you repost it, just send me the information. So like if you post it on Facebook or YouTube first, you can write it. I'm going to write down the book that you referenced. That way the people can see it in the thing. Now, as far as the feedback is concerned, I'll let you speak. But if you have the ability to use a headphone, that might cut back on the feedback if you have a chance. But go ahead, continue.
Not. But let me name of the book is Histoire, révolution, Saint-Domingue, depuis le commencement jusqu'à la prise de Jérémie, du Môle S par les Anglais, suivi d'un mémoire sur le rétablissement de cette colonie. Okay, that's volume 1, Dama Antoine. Okay, I have both volumes. So this is the book where we first see somebody that's talking about the Haitian Revolution and associating a voodoo ceremony with it that supposedly happened on August 14, 1791. Now, what's remarkable about this is that that so-called voodoo ceremony happened in 1791. This book was published in 1814. So for 20 years, nobody spoke about a Haitian revolution where the slaves together killed a pig, blood. That's the reason why they got free. Nobody wrote about that. This is the first man, which is Antoine Dalma, who wrote about it. And what he said basically, for time's sake, I'm just gonna tell you the page. It's page 117. Page 117 and 118. And what he basically said in this book is that the Haitian, they gathered together in big numbers and they sacrificed a pig, and they all of them drunk. They were eager to drink the blood of that pig. And they believed that after drinking the blood of that pig, they will be invulnerable or invincible, right? So in that same, what I like to also point out is his view on Black people. And I'm going to read this in French and I'm going to translate it because this is very important before we accept this as fact as far as the voodoo ceremony goes. This is what he said in page 11 in that same book. Il importe seulement de remarquer ici que cette espèce d'homme supérieur aux Blancs sous les rapports physiques. What he basically said is that it is, what is to be noted is that this species of man is superior to white people physically. Était bien au-dessous d'eux pour les qualités intellectuelles et morales. Even though that we were superior than white people physically, his point of view is that we were inferior morally and intellectually. This is in page 11 in that same book. And this is the author who's telling us what our forefathers did on August 14, 1791. And you cannot find this anywhere else prior to 1814. The 1814, different authors have wrote about it, and they flipped it around, so to speak, added to it. But this is where they get that information from. And that is not accurate. It's not in the archival records. You cannot find it in the archival records. In fact, that location which is Mont Rouge, that location that he said this voodoo ceremony took place, this is the location that Dessalines, after the revolution, made headquarters. He made it headquarters to the indigenous, what he called the indigenous army, or the army of the Incas. He made it the headquarters. Why? Because that's the location where the generals would gather. The generals would gather there. Look with me. That's the location where the generals and the high officials would gather. And what really happened is that it was a political assembly for a general insurrection. That's what took place on August 14, 1791. But that Frenchman, to undermine our intellectual, our capability to put a plan together to fight oppression, he basically stated that, we had a voodoo ceremony. And this is what Pat Robinson was referring to as far as making a pact, with the devil. This is where they're getting that information from.
Okay. All right. So we're doing great. Thank you for the information. Like I said, please send me the title so that at least when I repost it, I'll have that information for anybody that want to reference it. Now, do you guys have any questions of me?
Yeah, I have a question. So, I don't think you mentioned what specifically led you to being an atheist. I know you mentioned the events that led up to your interaction with, I think specifically it was Hebrew Israelites. But what led you to believing in atheism? And if I'm correct, atheism is, or how you define it, atheism is the belief that there is no God or that God doesn't exist. Could you explain that?
Yeah. So when I say I'm an atheist, what I mean is that I do not believe in God.
Okay.
That's the short
Yeah.
definition, I guess. But the longer, more precise definition, I would say, for me, this is me expressing it to you, is that what I found is that gods exist only in the mind
Okay.
of believers as a concept. Okay, they don't exist in reality. So I don't believe I'm pretty confident. I'll say that I know for a fact that humans make up gods and gods are not real things. So that's what I mean by I'm an atheist. So
Okay.
that's how I would express it. And
Okay.
now, so the second part of the question is how did I become an atheist?
Right.
So the short answer again is I read the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
The long answer is I read the Bible. I learned certain things on my own that, like you guys say all the time, that is not taught in the church.
Mm-hmm.
But then I kept researching. Because like first, my meeting with the pastor was very influential because like the parts that I, mind you, I was already at war in Iraq, and I read that the Israelites basically committed genocide. They stole the land of the Canaanites. They committed war crimes as we would know it today. And so this is something that was very shocking to me because the Bible is promoted as a book that is not only good, but moral, and God is, some kind of good thing, etc., etc. And it was totally the opposite. It was nothing like that was taught. Where I came from, as far as church-wise, they really focus on Jesus. They really focus on getting people to become their type of Christian. And I don't think it's misrepresenting them if I were to say that their focus was to save your soul so you could go to heaven. It wasn't not necessarily to focus on what people call the Old Testament. So being that it was so egregious, so terrible, I really wanted to give my pastor and other people a chance to really give a different understanding, because what I read was terrible. And had anybody done the same things that Moses done and the Israelites, they would have been condemned immediately for being evil. So that was the start of it, but I didn't automatically become an atheist. In fact, I didn't even know what an atheist was. I never met anybody who was a non-believer like I am now. So I think I gave you a little bit of this, but eventually after the meeting, I stumbled onto this website, which was a Muslim website that listed a bunch of contradictions by Jim Merritt. I'll never forget his name. And I had read things that contradicted within my own personal reading because I was trying to complete the book from beginning to end, because how like people always talk about context. Well, in churches, in my experience, they don't focus on context. They'll just focus on this verse in Matthew. They'll jump around, and still to this day, people jump around. I don't know too many people that are encouraged to read the Bible from beginning to end. So that's what I tried to do. That's what I ended up doing. So when I read the list, when I saw the list of contradictions, I took my time to verify each contradiction, and most of them checked out. There were contradictions. But again, I'm the kind of person that believes in comparing and contrasting. So let's say you tell me something, I'll take it provisionally. I'll verify. I'll read his book, like he referenced it. I'll try to do my best to verify these things. And I just kept doing that, and things didn't get better for the Bible. It just eventually got worse, but I still kind of held on to my faith. I even got baptized. But the more I learned, I kept reading. I learned so much, and I tried to kind of share what I've learned in Sunday school, and I discovered that they were really not on board with the scholarship and the things that I had. I mean, I really was. I was really on fire for this. I was really like motivated because I came from a war zone, and people were talking about how the conflicts in the Middle East, kind of like what's going on now, is all some kind of big end time thing. This was written in Revelations, and at the time I had not read Revelations yet, but I knew more or less that it was going to be conflict. And before I read the Bible, I thought the Bible was all about, you know, peace and love and all that kind of good stuff. So I was trying to educate the people because I felt that had we not learned about these things, it would have led to unnecessary conflict. So, you know, so I went through a bunch of things. I kept talking to people just like I'm talking to you guys, trying to get their perspective. And eventually, the more I read secular sources, I found that there's people even going way, way back that already found out the things that I know now today in 2020, the contradictions, the terrible things that are in the Bible, and they already, you know, left religion. So since people have already done the work, again, I checked them out, and eventually I kind of had to accept that I also became an atheist. So that's basically the gist of why I became an atheist.
Okay. So I guess my next question would be, what benefit do you see atheism having for specifically the Haitian people?
Atheism, I think atheism itself is not necessarily something that will give you a benefit per se. I think skepticism would. So skepticism is, I would say also I'm a skeptic, at least I try to be, and atheism is a byproduct. So, but if I had to say there's a benefit, something that would benefit the Haitian people as being atheists, I think it could save you money. So you have a lot of people who are trying to get 10% of your income, right, by tithing. You don't have to give them any income. It'll save you time. You know, so you can dedicate an average of 1 to 3 hours every week by going to church. You don't necessarily have to go to church. Also, the other benefit I would say is that you don't have to be scared of certain things like voodoo, or you don't have to be scared of like curses. You can be friends with different people and not be like, oh, I'm not going to befriend those Catholics, those Hebrew Israelites. Like religion tends to alienate people. As an atheist, I can be your friend, whether you're Hebrew Israelite, whether you're gay, whether you practice voodoo. These things don't matter to me because they're all to me irrelevant. So I think those are the things that come to mind if you want to talk about if there are any benefits when it comes to being an atheist and Haitians.
Okay. And then my next question. So you had mentioned the things or the events that are going on today, specifically with America and Iran, are seen as a end time prophecy, right? Based on revelations, etc.
Yes, what I mean by that is growing up, I remember watching this one particular movie that illustrated what people call end time prophecies. And although it wasn't expressly said that this was how it's supposed to be, you know, I was smart enough to put two and two together. So basically what people were saying back then and kind of like now is that there's going to be some terrible times in the future, but lucky for us, since we're believers, we're going to kind of make it through, and these things have to happen so that Jesus will come back, right? So this was what was impressed upon me before I read Revelations myself. So when I saw the movie, I was like, first of all, this is scary. Second of all, I'm like, why does it need to happen since God is good? That was my train of thought. And then I read Revelations, and I see where these people are coming from, you know? So some people get excited about war in the Middle East because they see it as a precursor. Now, the thing is, some of the Christians, not all, some of the Christians look forward to it. Some of the Muslims look forward to it because they have their own end times beliefs. And so it doesn't motivate people to want to stop wars if they see a benefit to it. And I think that's dangerous. And some people might see themselves as martyrs to start a beef that would end to the killing of innocent people because of their religious beliefs. And that's why I think makes it very dangerous.
Okay. So then, based on atheism, what do they believe is going to happen? Are we just going to, like, is this system, the system of things with America being in power, ruling, European nations, the EU, France, etc., ruling, is that going to last forever? Like, what do the Haitians believe is going to happen as we progress in time? Atheists, excuse me.
Okay, so atheism is not like a belief system like the religions, you know. So it just means, generally speaking, that you do not believe. Okay. So you don't believe. So I can only speak for myself. I'm not going to speak for other atheists, but I think that I try to deal with reality, so what I think is going to happen is what's been happening. That is to say, there's going to be people fighting for different reasons that they feel is legit. So when you see the Iranians talking about the general that just got murdered, they're going to say that America was the bad ones and they acted without merit. And the Americans are saying the exact opposite, that this guy was plotting to kill Americans, etc. So this is what's been going on forever. People pointing fingers saying that you are the wrong one. You're the one that is the one that started the beef, and this is what I'm going to do about it. It's pretty simple. If I had the ability to influence these things, I'll tell them that, listen, if you have evidence that somebody was going to do something, let's work with evidence. Now, just because, let's say, I found out that you were planning to do something terrible,
right?
does that mean that I have the right to kill you? This is where it gets murky, So I can deal with evidence. I don't want to have to add religious motivations on top of that, because when people get really super religious, they can act very dangerously, including suicide bombers, etc. We saw what happened recently in Jersey City with supposedly two people that are supposedly affiliated with Hebrew Israelites. At least that's how the news is tying it up.
Yeah.
So, but there are religious fanatics, and sometimes they do these things. And so, if we can kind of remove the religious aspect of it and just deal with the facts, then we can hopefully reach some peaceful revolutions.
Okay. So would atheists believe that America is going to rule as an empire for eternity? Because as it stands right now, America is a superpower. I'm just asking. I'm just trying to get an understanding of atheists. I don't know much about atheists, or what their stance on certain events is. I know you just explained the America-Iran ordeal that's going on right now, but what do atheists believe is going to happen specifically with America?
Again, whenever you ask the question, you have to ask me, because there's no such thing as atheists believe X.
Oh, okay.
So we are all individuals.
Okay.
So I know that America and all other nations, all other countries will come to an end. Historically speaking, countries come and they go. That's just the way it goes. So everybody has a shelf life. It's just a matter of when and how. So that's basically the answer to the question. And I'm fine with it, because that's just the life cycle of countries. It's the life cycle of people. It's the life cycle of ideas. Ideas come and go. That's pretty much it.
Okay. Did you have questions for us? I guess I just.
Well, yes, sir.
Go ahead.
The question I have is, I know I'm not asking all atheists, you personally as atheists, because I'm trying to understand the mindset of atheist people. So, for you personally, what is the metric for morality or right? What is the metric? What is it that you use measuring stick to decide what is immoral, what is wrong, what is wrong?
Okay, so if I heard you correct, I think your question was basically, since I'm an atheist, how do I decide what's right and wrong in terms of morality? Is that correct?
I didn't understand that.
Sorry, my phone just. So before I was a believer, I think as a child, most of us are taught what we call morality from our parents. So my mother taught me the basics, not to lie, not to steal, to behave well. So that's my first introduction to morality. Then later on, I remember specifically, it was my uncle, her brother, who taught me about God and religious stuff, Catholicism. So they have their own sort of morality, if you will. So you could be influenced by that. And thirdly, as you get older, you can become able to develop your own mind, or you might read a book, or you might meet a person, a philosopher who might influence you. But generally speaking, I think that for me, morality comes from the fact that I have empathy. Empathy means that I have the ability to put myself in your shoes and be like, man, it would suck to be in your position. So I would not want you to be hurt. I would not want bad things for you. So having empathy is the thing that drives morality in human beings. to say, you know, I would not like this thing to happen to me, so I would not like it to happen to you. So that's really the basic thing that drives morality, not just for atheists, but people in general. Now, what I think religions do is that they write stories about it and they give credit to gods. They say it was the God that told me not to do X, Y, and Z. But in reality, it's us that determine what is right or wrong. And let's say if it was to be a situation where I come across a new situation where I don't know what I would do, I think the answer is I would think about it and I would make a decision. I would not appeal to a God. I would not appeal to a book necessarily. I might ask somebody that I trust, you know, their opinion on what I should do. But ultimately, it's up to me to make a decision on how I would handle the situation. So I take responsibility, if you will, for my moral decisions. So it's up to me.
Okay. All right. The last question. Before I be clear. So basically, what you told me is that empathy is the measuring stick for you or people in general.
No, empathy is the thing that propels my moral decisions. But it's not the measuring stick. The measuring stick, if there was such a thing, would be is what's the effect of my decision. So if my decision, if it's going to cause harm, that will be my measuring stick. If it's going to cause good, then obviously I want to choose something that does good. If it's going to cause harm, then I'm going to hope not to choose that. So harm, I guess you would say, would be my measuring stick.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Great. Now, one thing that I can relate as what you said, right? I'm gonna say that so I can ask this question. My last question. One thing I could relate. You said that you went to your pastor and you could not, you know, your answers. Realize that your pastor is supposed to be this authority over the life. Answer basically definitely relate to that because as a young man, a teenager, I had questions that were answered, and that's one thing that could drive people away from the Bible because so-called religious leaders, and it's very important for our to understand today. And this is why conversation, you know, is important. So we could have an understanding of we are coming from. Now, the ISUPK will be doing a lecture on March the 26th. It's not a lecture, so let me correct myself, a debate. And title of the debate is Christianity good for our people? It's gonna be done by Captain Lawya, New York City, preacher. It's gonna be a preacher and Captain debate on March 22nd. Anybody go to ISUPK.com to get the full details about that lecture. Now, the question that I have for you is, as we know, the Christian church, it's a lot of priests that have molested children. You know, this is something that is not a secret. Now, would you, as an atheist, would you have empathy for a child molester?
Would I have empathy for a child molester?
Yes.
No. The only way I can see if I would have empathy on a child molester is if it is my understanding a lot of times people that molest other children, they've been molested too. You know, so the crime that they did, the child molestation, is something that needs to be dealt with because we don't want them to harm other children. But the only empathy I would have for them is be like, if they were molested and, you know, there's a pattern, is my understanding of, if, you know, if they had no kind of weird reason like that, then it's hard for me to have any empathy on them, to be quite honest, you know. So the general answer is no. I would want to rehabilitate them as much as I can. But yeah, that child molestation is not really something that I can really be down with at all. So okay, so I want to keep up with the time here. It's 10:53. How are we guys doing on time? I want to respect your time. You good?
Personally, I'm good. We can go over an hour if you want, if you're able to. I'm good.
I'm able because I want to, like I said, respect your time. the Bible is something that's coming up a lot with our discussion. There's other religious books out there. Why should people care about the Bible? That's my question to both of you.
Why should people care about the Bible? The Bible, the Bible is, first of all, the Bible is the records that they all pull from. Nearly every other religious text. The Hindus, one second, with washing, right? They credit washing or bathing to the Hindus or the Hindu religion. All right, Vegas, Hindu Vegas. If you look at washing or you Google bathing, they credit the origin of the first major practice of that, where it being practiced, right? Widespread, people washing and bathing. They attribute that to the Hindu Vegas. Okay, the Bible in Leviticus, the 13th chapters through about the 15th chapters, talks about washing, and those records predate the Hindu Vegas. All right, the Arabs, Islam. When you hear a Muslim, the Nation of Islam, Farrakhan's a big example. Even Sunnis, many of them quote the Bible more than they quote their own religious book, their supposed religious book, the Quran. All right. So we should care about the Bible because the Bible is the book that these religions look to. These many cultures, people base their stories, the Epic of Gilgamesh and other epics, other stories, etc., are based on stories of the Bible. The creation story. The creation story is straight out of the Bible, Genesis, the first chapter. Okay, the Christian church, as you had stated, the Christian church misinterprets your creation story, but nonetheless, leave us in Isaiah, the 34th chapter, in the 16th verse. The scripture says to seek ye out of the book of the Lord. We should seek this book. It's listed in the book. It's listed in the Bible. The Bible is, to answer your question, the Bible is the most circulated book. It's the book that is the most printed and the book in widest circulation in the world. All right, there are more copies of the Bible out than any other book. If you look at any world superpower today, the United States of America, thou shalt not kill. Where do they get a law for murder from? Does it come from empathy? Because as you stated, if you feel, it's based on your empathy. Well, Ted Bundy's empathy is much different than your empathy. Would you agree?
Maybe, but let's be clear. What do you mean by empathy?
Well, your definition of empathy, what you had stated, is that you base punishments, you base how you deal with people based on being in their shoes, how they would feel if you did this to them, correct?
Yeah, so that's true. Empathy is basically putting yourself in other people's shoes. But however, we know that some people, they're called psychopaths. So psychopaths are unable or have a different something with their brain where they're unable to literally feel like what they're doing is messed up. You know what I'm saying? So there's psychopaths are a thing. We know about that. Yeah. So and psychopaths are known not to have the ability to empathize, or their empathy is not what we would call, like, I would assume your and I's ability, you know. So yeah. But continue.
Okay, so let's give another example. A police officer. We see all over the news Black people getting murdered in the streets by police. A police officer's empathy may be different than your empathy. So we need, from our point of view, we need a measuring stick to base morality. Different people, there are ideas and thoughts that come into your brain all the time. Okay. You know, from studying neuroscience, thousands of thoughts come into your mind each day. What are you going to eat? What are you going to wear? You're going to wear these socks, that socks. Some of those thoughts are thoughts we would not want in our minds. Can we act on all those things? No. So from our point of view, why we should seek the Bible is that the Bible gives a measuring stick that we can all relate to, that we all have in common, so that there's no, my empathy was this, your empathy was that. And then what you'll have is what's called anarchy or chaos, which is what could ensue if you have people, your morality looks different than someone else's morality. So our own thoughts should not dictate what our morality is. But to answer your question, stay on task, you had stated why we should seek the Bible. The Bible, it is the most uniform measuring stick for morality. It is the most circulated book, and it's the most powerful book on the planet Earth. You look at any superpower, many of them, most of them, if not all of them, are Judeo-Christian societies. You would agree with that. State of Israel practices Judaism. America is portrayed as a Christian nation, etc. Many of the rules they get are from Judeo-Christian principles. What I'm referring to is the Bible. So it's a powerful book, and it's a book about us. All right, Moses was Black according to Exodus chapter 4 and verse 6. Christ is black. They say that there is no description of Christ in the New Testament or Yahushua in the Hebrew. That's a lie. Revelation chapter 1, verses 13 through 15, he's described as being a black man. So we shouldn't throw out the baby with the bathwater in that because the Christian church is wrong, because they're, as obviously Yatazar stated, a fraternity of child molesters, essentially, like the Catholic Church. You can't argue with that, with the Catholic Church, with the number of children, boys that they've molested and harmed. Okay. We should throw out the Bible with their misinterpretation of the Bible. The Bible is for us. It's listed, the prophets are black. That's in Acts chapter 13 and verse 1. So to answer your question, we should seek the Bible as a uniform measuring stick for our morality, and it's the most powerful book in circulation, the most circulated book, period. And it's ours. All right.
What about you, Yatazar? Do you agree with that?
Of course, with what Officer Ahban said, and what you have to realize with the ISUPK, right? Whatever Officer Ahban said is exactly what Captain Tazariak is going to say. Is exactly what you don't have an individual mind. You know, I feel a certain way about pedophiles that Officer Ahban is gonna feel a different way about. You get what I'm saying? And this is why the Bible is very important. This is what Christ said, right? I will paraphrase. Christ said that the laws and the prophets, they rest on these two things. And these two things are to love the Most High God with all your mind and to love your brothers like you love yourself. Why should people care about the Bible? If we understood the Bible, two things I'm going to show you, right? If we understood we would know how to treat one another. And because of that, the chaos going on in Haiti right now will not happen. The division that you see amongst the Haitian and the Dominican will not happen because what's going on? There is no brotherhood with the Haitian people. There is no brotherhood with Haitian and Dominicans. There's no unity among above tribes, Hispanic and Native Indians. Why? Because we do not hold this Bible. And the second thing that I show you is something that you can relate to. What year did you say you went to Iraq?
2003.
2003. This is why the Bible is important. Since 1969, ISUPK have been prophesying about what you see is going on right now in the news, about this war that's going on in the Middle East. ISUPK have been prophesying about 1969. Now, you as a young man in 2003, if you were under Commanding General Yahana would not allow you to go to Iraq. He would not allow you to for the military because Commanding General Yahana foresee what is happening right now. He would have not let you go to that war because we know in the Bible, based on the prophet that was given, what is happening right now. And there is prophecy about this war that's going on. There is prophecy of you being in Iraq. It's right there in the Bible. Everything that's going on in the middle is right there in the Bible. So as a young man, you knew if you were under the leadership of Commanding General Yahana, you would have never went without. You would have never fight another fight.
Okay. I have a question. And I want to again do some admin notes. I was referring to our text, and the show's going great. We talked about doing introductions of who we are as activists. We pretty much covered that. Have some Q&A, so that's what we're doing. And then we talked about doing another official show, hopefully with comments on the side on the 27th. Are we still tracking for that?
Yeah, Monday, January 27th at 10 a.m. That's good on my schedule.
Okay, so that's good. So
yes.
My question, my next, I'm sorry?
If I may, I just want to say that's good for me on my schedule for the 27th, but I'm looking at the time, 11:02, 11:15. If I may, I would have to wrap it up, all right?
Oh yeah, that's fine. I mean, and you know, I'll stay until Ahban has to go. So if you have to go, then that's fine. I thank you for your time, and I look forward to seeing you on the 27th if everything goes well. So my next question until we have to go is if the Bible didn't exist, what do you guys think that you would be as far as where would you be religious? Would you be part of a different organization? Let's say that this was not an option. There's no Bible in the world. This is how would that affect you? You think?
If I may add on.
Yeah, go ahead. You can go first. Mm-hmm.
Now, this is the question just asked is a hypothetical question.
Yes, sir.
A hypothetical question requires a hypothetical answer. So that answer you're gonna get is solid because the question itself is not solid. The question is hypothetical. So where would I be if there was no Bible? I don't know.
That's fine.
My answer would be I didn't have the understanding of the Bible beforehand. So everything I was doing in my life was not in accordance with the Bible beforehand. So to answer your question, I would have been continuing to do what I had been doing before I had understood the Bible. And many so-called Christians. Now, if I can preface it with this as well, the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, we are not religious. All right, the Israelites are not religious. Religion comes from the term religios, which means to bind or to bind up. Christ never taught religion in the Bible. Okay, the Christian church teaches that the laws are done away with. If I can just go off on a tangent real quick, the Christian church teaches that the laws are done away with. Christ said in Matthew 5:17 that he didn't come to do away with the laws. Okay, the Christian church doesn't even base its morality on the Bible. So where atheists are coming from in terms of religions have this binding effect, or they put some morality on people from a book known as the Bible. It's not even true because Christians don't even adhere to that. All right. But to answer your question, without the Bible, I would have been doing what I was doing before.
I don't know what that is.
Which was like I said, everything that I was doing without knowledge of the truth. So beforehand, I was just a regular person, a regular American, living like an American, celebrating July 4th, American holidays, and doing things that were not in accordance with the Bible. To answer your question.
Okay, that's fine. Any questions for me?
Offhand, no, I didn't have any more offhand. We're just this is just a Q&A. So I pretty much asked all the questions
that I have for you.
Okay.
The question that I have for you is, do you think based on your it's probably small at this time, but your knowledge on the ISUPK, do you think as a young man, if you came to a priest and prophet ISUPK to pose the question that you pose your preacher, do you would have the same outcome?
Yes.
I think so. Okay.
Mm-hmm. I think I was in different places in my life. So if you met me before, I would have been a lot more rah-rah, combative, motivate, kind of like some of the videos that I see of the other Hebrew Israelites. Because I came from a generation, I was like, I'm into hip hop, I'm into battle MCs. I love the New York vibe. I like that energy. Some of the stuff that I used to be like that. You know what I'm saying? The difference between me and other people is, like I said, I want to be right so bad that it's better that I get my facts straight than to just go ahead and sell out to any one side, if that makes any sense. You know what I'm saying? And I'll give you something that happened recently that shows you my state of mind. I'm a big Miami Dolphins fan, huge. So I bet with this guy $20 that the last quarterback that led us to a playoff win was Jay Fiedler. This is like Dolphins talk. And I thought that happened in 2006, but really it happened in 2001, 2000. But I was betting another guy who's a Dolphins fan, and I was so confident that this happened in 2006 that I bet him $20. And then I looked it up. I was wrong, and I give this guy $20. So that was a lesson to me that says, like, as much as I'm confident, and let's say I went to go to General, I forgot his name, and whatever. If I bet that with an atheist that they were knowledgeable about the things that I know about the Bible, and I was wrong, if you will, that would make me feel bad. You know what I'm saying? I'm confident on what I know because I try to go by facts and not what a group or a general says. Back in the day, you could have said that I would have used the Bible as my measuring stick, but using the Bible is what made a lot of people atheists. reading the Bible was the most important thing in me becoming atheist. I kid you not, it is the best book to make people atheists, because a lot of people still to this day, from your experience, don't read the book. I did the work. The only difference would have been if I spoke to a general, what's his name?
Commanding General Yohana.
Commanding General Yohana would have been, he would have gave me his answer, and I don't know what the answer would have been because I didn't speak to him. And then I would have taken it, and then because we have the internet, because we have books, I would have verified what he said, and if what he said matches the facts, then I give him credit. If what he said is wrong, I don't have no problem saying that, Commander General Yohana, you are wrong. Here's my information, and then we'll go from there. So for me, what happened was my church encouraged me to do the Great Commission. So the Great Commission is to make disciples of other people around the world, right? So I've always had an issue with that, because I felt that it's kind of rude or stuck up for me to tell somebody like, oh, you're going to go to hell. You need to become what I am, a Jesus Christian lover, whatever, Christian. And I just thought that was the most arrogant thing ever, because the Muslims think they're right, and other people think they're right? So I said to myself, if I'm going to go in the street and talk to people, let's say back in the day, if I was in that state of mind, me and you talking, and you saying like, oh, you Christian, let me give you these information, let me give you these facts, I would have tried to battle you, so to speak. But like I said, I'm the kind of person, I'm willing to listen to you, like, okay, tell me, am I wrong? And then you giving me knowledge. I'm like, damn, I wasn't taught this. Then I would have verified it. And if y'all was the right ones, I would have give y'all credit and maybe became a Hebrew Israelite. That's the way I function still to this day. But having the information that I know, it is impossible for me to become a Hebrew Israelite or a believer in the Bible or the Quran, which I've read, because the information is out there. So that would be my answer to your question, because it's almost too easy now. But there's so much information out there. I'm like, why isn't it people seeing this the same way? And that, for me to find the answer, I like to talk to the people and hear it straight from them. Now, obviously, I haven't told you some of the things that I know, but that's probably what would have happened. I would have verified what the general said and gone from there.
Okay. What's the name of the name of that gentleman that you mentioned earlier? You say you went to this website.
Oh, so the name of the person that wrote the article, his name is Jim Merritt. I'll text it to you. So Jim Merritt, MERRITT. So basically, it was an Islamic website, and they just took his list of contradictions. Now, there's other websites that have better information about contradictions, and so they show you all of the contradictions. So what I did is I went through each one and I verified the contradictions. And so, I mean, the contradictions is just one thing, but really, like, what started everything was the genocide of Canaan. Unacceptable. There's no apologies for it to me. Unacceptable. So I'm someone that, when I was 14, the genocide in Rwanda was happening. We know about the Holocaust. That was before me, but we have video of it. We have pictures of it. And before I read the Bible, I used to be like, damn, how can men be so evil? But human beings can be evil. Now, how they justify their evil could be different. It could be political in nature. It could be a nationalistic motivation. It could be religious in nature. It doesn't matter. If it's wrong, it's wrong. If an atheist is doing wrong, I'm not going to sit there and apologize. Well, no, it's wrong. It's wrong. That's my. I try to be consistent with it. So I'm not going to defend you because you're Haitian, because you're atheist, because you're a Miami Dolphins fan. I believe that if it's wrong, it's wrong. If I'm doing wrong, I'm wrong, because you can bring the evidence against it. So having lived through Rwanda and how easy it was for the Dutch to pit the Hutus and the Tutsis together, I said, dang, when I read it in the Bible, it's kind of like, this is terrible. I could not be a fan of Yahweh. Him telling Moses to kill people take women as slaves, and all the things that are in the Bible. So that was the what I was trying to see if my pastor could kind of tell me his perspective on. And from since then, I've heard other people say, well, the Canaanites were terrible people. They worship Baal. They sacrificed their kids to blah blah blah, and they did all these terrible things. And I'm like, what? So the answer was to kill them, and Yahweh is supposedly famous for sacrificing his son as a sacrifice, the human sacrifice they did, and that's what Christians love. John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. So he sacrificed his son so that people can be saved. That's the classic Christian thought. But I mean, I've gone up past that. I've learned so much, and I see it now as very plain. People, and I think you guys can agree to this. People either don't know or they know some things are false, but they go with it anyway. You guys talk about Christmas. You guys talk about January 1. Some of the things that you guys talk about, I agree with some of those things, but I find that people are okay with lies sometimes because it feels good. So what I mean by that is Christopher Columbus did not discover America. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely.
People know that, but we still celebrate Columbus Day like it's not a thing. We talk, you talked about Thanksgiving, I think, before, some people know it. They don't really think about it as a massacre or nothing bad. It's a terrible thing. It's a really terrible holiday, and I would agree with you. But it just goes to show me that they would know about it, and they just like, I just want to eat my turkey. I just want to watch my football. In the same vein, and this is the part that affects you guys, there was never an Adam and Eve. There was never a Noah. There was never a flood. There probably was no Moses. There's reasons why a dead person cannot come back to life. A virgin cannot give birth. These things are so almost, to me, common sense that it's kind of like, okay, so why doesn't that same thing apply to people that believe in the Bible? And what I found is that it doesn't necessarily matter if what you're saying is true and verifiable. If the person want to stay as part of their team, and I think we talked about with the Trump fans and how they behave and how, this guy just got impeached and Democrats have evidence on him. It doesn't matter if it's true. They just want to stick to their team. It's kind of like, it doesn't matter. And I find that to be so fascinating and so dangerous when it's applied with violence, because facts for some people, it doesn't matter. They might even say, yeah, I see where you're coming from, but no. It's, is it true or is it not true? That's where I'm coming from. So when it comes to the Bible, some people might be like, well, it's about nationality. Are you an Israelite or not? My question is it true or not? And I think that's what makes me different.
Okay. So one of the we'll get into this in our next discussion, but one of the issues that I have with people that find contradictions in the Bible and that say things that the Bible are wrong. You mentioned a virgin can't give birth. The story of the virgin birth comes from paganism. It comes from Greek mythology. The idea that a god can get a woman pregnant and produce demigods. That's where you have Thor, those gods, the Greek gods, the pantheon, etc. It goes back to those stories, which goes back to the worship of ancient Egypt. What you know of as Christianity is actually an ancient African religion. Okay, the Christian worshipers of today are the worshipers of Baal of ancient times. Okay, so that Christianity is a Canaanite religion in essence. The Canaanites then passed it on to the ancient Egyptians, the ancient Greeks, so the first great European powers. They went and they dug up those records, the records of Babylon, the records of Egypt, and revived it into what you know of as mythology. Like you said, many people don't know about Christmas. Christmas has nothing to do with Christ or his birth. Christ wasn't born on December 25th, but the birth of Sol Invictus, right, which is an ancient Roman sun god or sun deity, he was born, quote unquote, on December 25th. Catholic Church melded paganism with the Bible in order to produce these holidays that are wrong. Virgins don't give birth. You're right. Mary was not a virgin. Mary and Joseph had sexual intercourse. Okay, we're going to get into that. All right. Adam and Eve, there was an Adam and Eve. Okay. The Adam and Eve story, many Christians get this wrong. The Adam and Eve story is an allegory. Right? You've heard of allegories. It's a story that's talking about something else. There's the snake in the garden is not literal. Snakes don't talk. All right. The trees in the garden, those trees aren't even literal. All right. In the next discussion and in discussions in the future, we can get into all of that. But the problem I have with, again, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. The Christian church is the house of Satan. All right. They're the house, they're the group that is absolutely against Christ, or what the Bible would say is anti-Christ. So getting contradictions based on the Christian church is
not on the Christian church, it's based on the Bible.
Yeah, or based on the based on the Christians' misrepresentation of the Bible.
No, it's from the Bible, not a church.
Well, according to the Bible, Mary and Joseph had sexual intercourse. The Immaculate Conception is a lie according to the Bible, and we can prove that. So all I'm saying is the Christian's interpretation of the Bible should not be used in supporting a claim that there is no God. In our opinion, again, we'll get into that in the future, of course. But I appreciate the Q&A and everything that we're able to do in this talk. I think it was very productive.
Okay, excellent. So now it's 1:19. We went about 19 minutes over. Yatazar, thank you. So we're going to try to pick certain topics like we discussed on the 27th. So what's going to happen now, I'm going to end broadcast. The recording is going to download. I'll share it with you. I believe I can email it to you. I'll get it to you some way, somehow. So thank you for your time. And like I said, next time, hopefully we can do it where comments can be had. We'll get a chance to advertise it to our various groups, and we'll figure out how we can get everything on one accord. Yeah. And so I've been Reggie, and you want to tell you guys, and of course send me the information about the book so I can type it up as well. Yeah,
if I can make a closing statement. Again, I'm Officer Ahban. So you can check out more of our information on isupk.com. Again, isupk.com. You can check us out on YouTube or Facebook. We have the Passover coming up, the 51st annual Passover, ISUPK 51st annual Passover. All Haitians are invited. All right, all Haitians are invited. Come check out the Passover, where the Lord destroyed the Egyptians for our sake, just like, and listen, if I can add a closing statement, listen, don't the Haitians need that today? The Haitians absolutely need that today. Haiti is one of the poorest countries in the Western Hemisphere. All right,
that is true. But you're saying that Passover is going to solve that?
Yeah, celebrating the Passover will solve that.
Okay, so Yatazar told me he's bringing the pig.
No pig. We don't need pig over here. No pig. But,
okay.
All Haitians are welcome to come and observe the Passover with us. It'll be Thursday, April 9th, 2020 at sundown. It's at the Westchester County Center, 198 Central Ave, White Plains, New York. So it's I'm not sure if you're familiar with New York City, the boroughs. It's north of Yonkers, New York. All right. So
I'm familiar with New York, but I probably won't be able to make it to that celebration. So you have to forgive me.
Okay, no problem. But all Haitians, all Blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians are invited. All right. I'd like to give, of course, special thanks as always to Commanding General Yohana. All right, who is an excellent servant of the one the world calls Christ, Yahushua, for allowing us to be on the show. I appreciate you as well, Reggie, for having us on.
Okay, thank you. What about you, Yatazar? What you got?
Yeah, real quick, sidebar. No pig at the Passover.
Yeah, you don't do that.
It's a joke. It's a joke.
Yeah. The voodoo.
Bomb ass lamb and some wine, some strong, but that's about it. No pig. I want to say, thank you, Commanding General Yohana. He is the reason that I'm here today. The man that sent out his prophet so that I have better understanding of the Bible. Because without the Bible, without Commanding General Yohana doing this work, I'll probably be atheist myself. I don't know. I'll probably be stuck with the vain philosophy. But because of his work and the work of Captain Tazarian, who will be doing a lecture on March 22nd, or the ISUPK.com to get that information. Because of the work of these men, I'm able now to have a better understanding of the Bible. I'm able now to see that there is no contradiction in the Bible. Because at one point, I felt like there was a contradiction in the Bible. At one point, I rejected the Bible, but I never believe in it 100%. I felt like men trying to, interject their point of view in the Bible. I felt like that time until the ISUPK brings me up of this book called the Bible. And I want to thank you for the fight. As long as we can reach more people, and all my Haitians, some Haitians, they're not fluent in the Creole. If they end up seeing this video, you could put a note. We have ISUPK Haiti, which is spelled AYITI on YouTube, where I teach the Bible Creole. So all the Haitians, if you have your Haitian people who's not fluent in the English, they could go to ISUPK Haiti. They could watch, videos that we have, and we do a live every Sunday at 8 p.m. Every Sunday at 8 p.m. we do a class live on ISUPK Haiti YouTube and also ISUPK Haiti on Facebook. Go to isupk.com. That's all I have to say. Shalom. Thank you for.
Okay, excellent. And when you guys post this on your YouTube and Facebook and everywhere else, I'm Reggie. Haitian Free Thinkers is my group. You can find me just on Facebook, Haitian Free Thinkers. I'm on everywhere, Twitter, everything. If you want to email us, it's haitianfreethinkers@gmail.com. We have a phone number. You can call 678-820-9474. You'll hear more about that. We look forward to doing another broadcast, hopefully January 27th around 10 a.m. We'll advertise it like we said before. And yeah, thank you for your time. We're going to stop it right here. Guys, we'll see you guys another time.
All right. See you soon.
Have a good day.
All right, you too. Shalom.